My name is Jermaine, but as in music, I go by Maineframe. I grew up in Richmond, Virginia, and moved out to Hawaii in 2009. I heard about Beatroot from another producer. His name was Cody, and basically he just kind of promoted it and said, "Hey, I'm gonna be entering this battle. Come by and check it out." So it was just word of mouth. Heard it from that, and then just being in it, I feel like I needed some kind of outlet for material. You know, I have been sitting on a lot of beats for the past few years, and being here, I wanted to do something else to just get involved in the scene and, you know, meet other producers, network, things like that. So for me, it was just more so about just being a part of something, you know. When I first got into making beats, I think the first influences that come to my mind are producers like DJ Premier, Pete Rock, as well as just pure musicians. So musicians like Donʻt or Chick Corea and things like that. Like, those were just people whose compositions, like from a song perspective, I like those, and I was exposed to them pretty much at the same time. Today, as of right now, my influences are coming a lot from a lot of foreign music, foreign sounds, Afrobeat, you know, Afro-Cuban, sounds out of Japan, sounds out of London, some trip hop stuff, drum and bass always. All of these things combined is like what I'm listening to right now to push out my new sound. First, I would describe my process of making beats, I guess, is more of a mental process for me. I take the sounds that are inspiring me, that I've heard in a movie, that I've heard on some CD or whatever, and I kind of build it in my mind how I want it to sound. So a lot of the process is all psychological, and then by the time I execute it, I've already kind of thought about it. That's not always the case, but I would say that's most of the time. In terms of environment or time of day, it's a little bit of everywhere. Like for me, music is it's like my own little therapy. So it's the one thing I can do where I can totally zone out. Like, I can be in a crowded room, I could be at a cafe, it could be late at night, or when I can't sleep, it could be anywhere, and I'm in the zone, like nothing can distract me. So that's kind of how music is for me in terms of making it. If I was to describe my sound, I think it's somewhat abstract to a degree, but sort of has like a progressive feel. I think the biggest thing I could influence or discuss is like the drums, and I think coming from a drumming background, I try to go all out with my drums first and my patterns, and try to not make beats that are so repetitive in terms of the progression. So I approach it from like a drummer's perspective first, and then in terms of like samples or layers and things like that, I think I would describe it as cinematic, because I'm a filmmaker too. So a lot of my ideas come from like just visual things that I see, or soundtracks and things like that. I first started making beats around the age of like 11 or 12. I had an older brother, or two older brothers, that were like heavily into music. They were DJs. Both of my parents were musicians, jazz musicians. So my brother first brought home some turntables like from college, and he started spinning all kinds of stuff. My mom had about like 4 or 5 synthesizers at the house. So between all of those, I remember seeing some Yamahas and some Korgs. Between all of those devices or hardware, like that was like my first hands-on experience with just equipment and making beats. And then from that, I transitioned to like your non-linear editing, like Sony, Vegas, all these programs. I would use that. I would just transfer all those sounds into the system. Right now, I'm onto this program called Studio One, but I also use that in conjunction with Reason and Logic, and those are like my main 3, and I just kind of rewire them and use them together. I'm still using some hardware devices. I'm still using MIDI controllers, things like that. So just a little bit of everything. It just depends on what I need for that track. I just want to give out some props and respect to, first, I'm just gonna say the whole Hawaii hip hop scene. That way I don't leave out anybody, and it's a safe way to do it. The Flip the Bird camp, as well as every other camp out there that's doing their thing. And then shout out to my brother DJ Outsource. Shout out to the curators of the hip hop family and all the supporters. So thank you. What's going on, everybody? This is Maineframe, and I'm just here to shout out to the Beatroot Grand Championship 2012. I look forward to being there and just ready to make good music.